So there's this thing that hundreds of people in Britain up and down the country are getting arrested for. It's this new law that you cannot incite hatred. Now I think there's only been one restriction on freedom of speech. Direct incitements to violence. Because you either did it or not. There's no room for subjectivity. There's no room for, well, maybe you directly incited violence, maybe you didn't. You know what, I actually don't like you, so I'm going to decide you directly incited. No, you either did it or you didn't. You either said, go burn this thing, go hit this person, or you didn't. So you cannot have a judge that is corrupt and biased and just decides to throw one person in jail and just decides to not throw another person in jail. It does not allow for two-tier policing, for example. Inciting hatred becomes dangerous because if someone doesn't like you, if you don't like a certain political beliefs, if you're a pro-immigration party and you see that there's anti-immigration activists, you could simply interpret it a certain way and go, well, you know what, technically you did incite hatred, even if you didn't really, but you sort of did, you could be interpreted a certain way, well then that gives them an excuse to throw you in prison. And when they do that, they then scare other people from speaking out, so then nobody speaks out, there's no opposition. Because, sure, if I post a statistic about immigration, if I post something that's anti-immigration, if I post a screenshot of people arrested for, being caught in taking part in grooming gangs, sure, maybe 1 out of 5,000 people might see that, might go down this little rabbit hole, might then become racist, might then actually become violent, might then hit someone, and technically I incited that because I'm kind of responsible for it. Maybe, you could interpret it that way. But is it fair to restrict and ban and censor all speech? Just because one person might get radicalized? Because under this notion, you have to ban a lot of things. One of the things you'd have to ban would be Islam. You'd have to ban the Quran. Because a person might pick up a Quran, might read it, might be interested, might look up some scholars on YouTube, some Muslim scholars, get even more interested, become Muslim, go to the mosque, slightly more radicalized, then they might join some Telegram group. It might radicalize them, and then they might, 1 in 100,000, might become a terrorist and stab someone. Is it fair to then go and ban the entire religion? Not really. So when you start making laws subjective, it just allows this corruption to spill in, and that's when you just get political prisoners. That's why we're using this term. So yeah, direct calls to violence should be the only thing that's restricted, because there's no subjectivity. Law should be objective. Speech seems to be the only time where it's not. If it's a assault, for example, the law understands it's objective. You either hit someone or you didn't. If it's rape, you either sexually assault them or you didn't sexually assault them. There's no in between. There's no maybe you did, or if it's a terrorist attack, you didn't just kind of commit a terrorist attack. You either did or you didn't. Speech is the only thing where they sit and go, well, maybe you incited it, so we get to ban your entire political beliefs because you might radicalize one person. But it's just not fair. Just cancel an entire majority of the populace because a few people might go and become violent. Because it will happen on all sides. Antifa exists. Are you going to ban all left-wing media? Are you going to ban the BBC? It doesn't make sense. It's corrupt. Subjective law is corrupt law.